Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to tutorial batch 3. In this tutorial, we'll do assembly from parts that have made using a welding machine and also a grinding machine. The following is the assembly process.
Okay, in this video, we will explain what personal protective equipment must be used by practitioners during tutorials on the shop floor. The first is wear pack. Wear pack is one type of clothing used with the aim of protecting the user is protect from the possibility of minor to severe injury. In addition, wear packs are used to protect the operator's body from scrap. The second is safety glove. Safety glove to protect the hands when doing work. Gloves serve to protect hands from fire, heat, cold, radiation, electric current, impact, blows, and stretcher from sharp. And next is mask. Masks are personal protective equipment used to protect the user from the dust. And next is safety glass. Safety glass function to protect the eye area from harmful influence such as high light intensity and residual materials. Earmuff. Earmuffs are used to muffle the sound produced from the engine. And next is shoes. Shoes are personal protective equipment that are worn to avoid the risk of accident to the feet. In addition to avoiding accidents, shoes are also used to increase the effectiveness.
The following is a welding machine that you will use in the assembly process. First, namely the power cable, then there is a current player or to regulate the current, then the on-off switch, mask clamp, and also the electrode clamp. These are tools used in the welding process. The first is the electrode, pinner, magnetic welding, hammer, and also the wire brush. Before carrying out the step welding process, first we install the mask clamp to the welding table. Then attach the electrode to the electrode clamp and an angle of 45 degrees. Set the current to 100, then turn on the welding machine by turning the on-off switch towards 220. First step, that is prepare the top frame and left frame, then install them based on the elbow. Then attach them with a magnet. Make sure that the side stick exactly to the intersection that has been made before carrying out the welding process. Make sure to use the gloves and also a welding shield. Before carrying out the welding process, make sure to use personal protective equipment in the form of glove and also a welding shield. The method used in the welding process there is we will stick the electrode, then lift it, then stick it again until the process is at the bottom of the workpiece. To avoid creating holes from the welding process, when the workpiece top frame and left frame from cavity like this, you can do it. The process of welding from right to left and also in the middle. Next is to align the electrode first. After the electrode has lit up perfectly, apply it to the workpiece by making point in 3 points, namely at the top of the middle and also at the bottom. Do the same thing on the opposite side, namely to do pinning process.
Jelek banget kok.
Then, after the pinning is done, we will carry out the welding process according to what was previously simulated. After welding on the side of the top frame and left frame, then we will carry out the hammering process to ensure that the welding process is clean from the scrap. Also carry out the welding process on the reverse side, which has been carried out, pinning process.
After carrying out the welding process, then we will use a hand grinder to smooth the results of the welding process. Before we use a hand grinder, there are several components what we need to know. The first is the power cord, which functions as a diverter of electric current for the molder. The second is the spindle lock, which functions to lock it, so that the molder doesn't rotate when tight or loosened. Next, it is the wheel flank and nut, which function as a position and a place to lock the grinding wheel disc on its rotating axis. Then there is a grinding wheel disc, which functions as a grinding disc, which can be disassembled and replaced as needed, and this part will rotate and grind the work object that we want. Then there is a wheel guard, which functions as a protector from sparks and also fragments from the grinding wheel so that they don't hit the operator. Then there is a side handle, which functions as a handle for holding and controlling the movement of the object. Then there is a switch. Next, we will carry out smoothing and the workpiece, which has been sanded. The first step we must do, namely place the workpiece in the vise, and make sure that when placing the workpiece in the vise, don't let the workpiece and the clamp be even. To use a hand grinder, first we have to hold the body of the grinder with the strongest hand, and also we can hold the side handle to direct it where to go. The direction we will grind for this method of grinding wheel is that they have to tilt the existing grinding wheel, and we have to level it evenly until the results of the welding are even. So, before we smooth the results of the welding, make sure to use safety first. Before starting a grinding process, make sure that the cable is at the back of the operator to avoid the accident. If there is a hole in the iron, then the rewelding process can be carried out, then the same process on the opposite side. following is the result of the grinding process.
Do the same steps to carry out the assembly with a welding machine on the right frame workpiece to the top frame, where we will do the pinning first and do the welding on both sides. Do the pinning on cross that occurs during the welding process to ensure that the electrode can enter on the cross. For the next step, carrying out the welding process on the top and also on the inside of the right frame and left frame. At this stage, tools are also used, additionally a vise to clamp the workpiece. Remove the workpiece from the vise by turning the vise to the left. The next step is to carry out welding on the inside of the right and left frame. The following is the result of the assembly.
Next, we will scrape back the right frame which has been welded previously with a hand grinder in the same way as before. And make sure the cable from the grinder is positioned behind the operator. And after we scrape the rack frame, next we will do the scraping again on the back of the rack frame and also on the elbow. And the following is the result of scraping with the hand grinder.
Namely doing the assembly of the hook and also the iron coaster on the frame that we have done assembly. Attach the hook to the top frame hole that has been made as well as to the hole next to it. Okay, next we will take measurement to install the iron coaster with a size of 117 mm from one of the hooks. Mark that is the center point of the iron coaster. Using chalk, carry out the welding process on the hook by turning as follows. Welding the iron coaster to the top of the frame. Welding the iron coaster on the right and left. Okay, the next step is to assembly the frame and the hollow base by placing the frame on it, then placing the bottom hollow base, then using a welding magnet to help hold the hollow base. After the hollow base and top frame have been set like this, then we will carry out the pinning process to ensure that the hollow base is not can be moved by doing two pins, namely on the left and also on the right. After carrying out the pinning process on both sides, then do the welding process in full. The next step is to set the frame using a vise like this to make the welding process easier on the hollow base like this. Then, clamp the mesh clamp on the workpiece. Do the assembly process on the hollow base. Do the same setup on the other hollow base. Make sure that the hollow base is right at the edge of the frame. do the same thing, namely do the pinning first on both left sides and also on the right. Then, we will do the welding on the hollow base as well, on top part in this section.
After the welding in bottom of the frame, next we will remove scrap from the bottom of the frame with the same way. First, take the frame to the vise. And do the same way to remove a scrap from the bottom. And this is a result for bottom frame after removing scrap with grinding wheel.
Next, assembly the connector with a hook like on the top frame using a welding machine with the hook positioned like this. Do the pinning process on the connector with the hook at 3 points to ensure that the hook and the connector are securely attached on the two.
Next, After welding the connector part, the next step that will be taken is to scrape off the excess part on the top side of the connector. Carry out the grinding process at the bottom of the hook. And do the same thing on the second connector. After finishing grinding on the second connector, the following are the result of the two connectors that have been carried out by the grinding process.
The next step is to assemble the iron pole and iron mate using a welding machine. Do the setup as follows. You can put the iron mate in a vise, then insert the iron pole from the bottom. Make sure that the iron mate has a cavity to be filled from the electrode. Then locate it using a vise. Carry out the welding process by first making a pin on the wall of the iron mate and also the iron pole to ensure that both the workpiece can no longer move after that using the electrode. If the result of the welding process are still like this, you can continue the welding process until the hole or grid that we want to fill can be filled completely. Continue using the pliers tool to take the workpiece. The following is the assembly result of iron pole and also iron mate.
Next, after carrying out the assembly process with a welding machine on iron pole and also iron mate, next we will also carry out scraping on the part that has been done, grinding with the help of a grinding machine in the same way. When it's flat on the part that you want to scrape off, then we will open the lock on the vise. And if the grinding process carried out has fulfilled or failed in the missing part of the iron pole section, then this is the result from the assembly on iron pole and iron mate part. Before carrying out the finishing process or painting process, what must be done is to remove the dirt on the hollow iron parts and using a grinder with a wire wheel brush, namely in the same way But when using foam grinding with a wire wheel brush, this process should not always be pressed, but only just attach it.
Okay, after carrying out the welding process and the grinding process, the next step is the finishing process. So, in this finishing process, we will paint the parts that have been made for the painting process. We use several tools. First, a brush, then a pair of pliers, and the paint itself. We just open the paint straight away, then we stir it. Now, the first part we will paint is the connector. First part is finished. We continue the next part. We go to the iron mat and iron pole. Well, we go to the last part. Well, after the painting process is finished, we can wait a few minutes until the set is dry. Okay, after we have carried out the painting and the drying process, then we will enter the assembly process. Before entering the assembly process, you have to prepare the materials first. Here is the frame, then there is an iron pole and iron mat, which have been assembled. Then there is a connector. There is also an iron shield. There is a bolt and nut. There is a molding, which we have made on 3D printing machine. And finally, there is hydraulic. First, we can assemble the connector section. We install it on this side, placing the iron shield like this. Okay, let's prepare them. Now we can install the bolts. When the connector and iron shield are installed, we can continue attaching it to the frame. Move the frame first. we can continue attaching it to the frame. Next, we can install the connector part. The only one is on the iron shield, which is already installed on the frame. Okay, we have installed the iron shield and the connector on the frame. Then we can continue to install the part. So for installing the spring, we can install it like this. Next, we install the other one. Okay, like this, but this is not finished yet. We continue to install the iron pole and iron mat, which have been assembled like this. We fit them so that they are in the middle. So, next we can install the hydraulics in their place. Next, we can also install the molding on this side. Well, maybe it's like that for the assembly process on hydraulic press machine. So, for how it works, the operator can raise and lower the hydraulic like this. Then below, you can adjust the position of the molding. So that's the video tutorial for batch 3 in the manufacturing process practicum. Thank you for watching. See you in the lab, Siman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.